On August 31st, 2020, 32-year-old Lorraine Cox went out for an evening with friends at a pub in Exeter, Devon, UK. It was a much-anticipated reunion after months apart due to COVID-19 lockdown restrictions. Lorraine, originally from Exeter, had recently moved back home after living in Scotland with her fiancé Elise during the quarantine period. Lorraine and her friends spent hours together at the pub, drinking and socializing into the early morning hours of September 1st. Witnesses recall them being in good spirits, enjoying each other's company after the long separation. At some point, just before closing time around 1:30 a.m., Lorraine unintentionally became separated from her friend group in the crowd of people leaving. Despite one friend's offer to call her a taxi, Lorraine insisted on walking the 2 miles to her father's home in the Beacon Heath area where she was staying. This decision to walk home alone intoxicated made her an unwitting target. Unbeknownst to Lorraine, a predator had been lurking in the vicinity of the pub, waiting for an opportunity to strike. 24-year-old Azam Mangouri had come to the UK illegally from Iraq and was living secretly above a kebab shop after his asylum application was rejected in December 2018. Mangouri spotted an impaired Lorraine walking unaccompanied and began following her at a distance. For over a mile, CCTV cameras capture Lorraine walking slowly along Exeter's High Street and several other roads in the early hours of September 1st. Despite her inebriated state, she does not appear to notice Mangouri trailing behind her. For a long period, he simply observes her, biding his time before making a move. When Lorraine eventually realizes a man is behind her, she glances back at him and then crosses the street, possibly to get away. But Mangouri is not deterred and continues pursuing her. Shortly after, CCTV footage shows the two in conversation with Mangouri, placing his arm around Lorraine's shoulder. Rather than proceeding to her father's house as planned, Lorraine is seen walking with Mangouri back along the high street in the direction they came from. The extent of her willing participation is unclear given her intoxicated state. The last sighting of Lorraine alive is her and Mangouri turning off the high street onto a side road leading to his residence above a kebab shop around 2 a.m. When Lorraine fails to return home and does not respond to numerous messages in the ensuing days, her friends and family report her missing to Devon and Cornwall police on September 3rd. Investigators interview the friends who last saw her and pull CCTV footage from Exeter City Centre in hopes of retracing her steps. Video surveillance reveals Lorraine's movements after leaving the pub as well as her follower, later identified as Azam Mangouri. Police track Mangouri to his flat on Mary Arches Street. Upon questioning, he initially denies any knowledge of Lorraine. When police present him with the CCTV evidence, Mangouri is arrested on suspicion of kidnapping. On September 8th, a police search of the alleyway behind Mangouri's building leads to the horrific discovery of black garbage bags containing human body parts later confirmed to be Lorraine's. Her arms and lower legs had been cut off at the joints. A more extensive search uncovers more of Lorraine's remains and belongings scattered in the alleyway and nearby woodland called Tin Pit Hill, about 5 miles outside the city. Mangouri is rearrested on suspicion of murder. Forensic analysis of Mangouri's flat yields further incriminating evidence. Lorraine's blood is found on the bedroom carpet, and her possessions are strewn about, including her bank card, driver's license, clothing, and purse. Her severed thumb is found in a storm drain outside. The brutality of Lorraine's murder is underscored by the fact that her heartbroken family cannot even have an open casket at her funeral due to the dismemberment. Under police interrogation, Mangouri spins an evolving story about what happened to Lorraine in his apartment. He claims she voluntarily went home with him to drink and take drugs before they had sex. In Mangouri's alleged version of events, Lorraine smoked an unknown substance that caused her to overdose while he passed out. He claims that upon finding her lifeless body, he panicked due to his illegal status and tried to dispose of her body to avoid detection rather than alert authorities. However, the physical evidence does not match Mangouri's claims according to the prosecution team. Toxicology reveals Lorraine only had alcohol in her system, no illicit drugs, and Mangouri's methodical actions in the days following her death appear to be those of someone in a rational state of mind trying to cover up a crime, not a panicked reaction. In the week between killing Lorraine and disposing of her remains, Mangori casually uses her SIM card to access her social media accounts and send messages to her loved ones. He poses as Lorraine, assuring family and friends that she is safe, but has abruptly decided to move to Plymouth to start a new life. This cruel deception is an attempt to explain away her sudden disappearance. Mangori also makes a number of purposeful internet searches related to body disposal and the decomposition process. On September 3rd, he looks up a website called How to Dig a Grave by Hand. On September 5th, he views a page on How to Drain a Body of Blood. On September 7th, he reads an article titled, How Long Does It Take for a Body to Decompose? These premeditated acts further undermine his story about Lorraine's death being an accident that he tried to conceal out of fear. Additionally, Mangori takes a number of steps to destroy evidence that could implicate him. Security camera video captures him purchasing items like a trowel, bin bags, tape, disinfectant, and an air purifier from various shops in the days after Lorraine's death. He also makes trips to the River Exe and a wooded area called Tin Pit Hill to dispose of her belongings and body parts. Chillingly, he even removes a tattoo on Lorraine's body that identified her as a diabetic. Such calculated actions do not align with Mangori's claim of covering up an accidental overdose in a moment of panic. A major break in the police's case against Mangori comes when his phone is forensically analyzed. It contains a deleted video from the night of September 1st showing an unconscious Lorraine lying on Mangori's bed as he vapes and listens to music. For Mangori to calmly relax next to Lorraine's body, if her death had been an accident, as he claims, seems highly unlikely to investigators. The exact cause and time of Lorraine's death cannot be determined due to the dismembered and decomposed state of her remains. But the prosecution team believes Mangori likely killed her through suffocation or strangulation, potentially using the t-shirt that was found stuffed deep in her mouth. Regardless of the precise method, they argue her death was no accident, but rather a cold, calculated murder. Over the course of a 5-week trial at Exeter Crown Court, the prosecution meticulously lays out the evidence against Mangori. They assert that he went into Exeter City Centre that night with the specific intention of picking up a vulnerable woman to have sex with and then kill. When he spotted an impaired Lorraine walking alone, she became his target as he followed her for over a mile, waiting for the opportunity to make his move. While Mangori's defense team argues that Lorraine's death was a tragic accident and his actions the result of not wanting to get in trouble with immigration, the jury rejects this notion. After 5 hours of deliberations, on April 1, 2021, they unanimously found Mangori guilty of murder. He is sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 20 years before the possibility of parole. In the end, it is digital forensics that seals Mangori's fate. The extensive network of CCTV cameras throughout Exeter, the incriminating videos and internet searches on his own phone, and his use of Lorraine's devices and accounts to message her loved ones pretending to be her, all paint an irrefutable picture of his guilt. Technology becomes the silent witness that speaks on behalf of Lorraine. No punishment will ever undo the heartbreak and pain Mangori has caused to Lorraine's family and friends. Their grief is compounded by the brutal manner in which she was killed and the cruel way Mangori let them believe she was still alive in the days after her death. Lorraine's father describes the trial process and having to hear the disturbing details of what was done to his daughter as mentally and emotionally exhausting. In a statement following the verdict, Lorraine's family remembers. They say she was the most loyal friend and person you could ever meet. She was very much loved by her friends and family, very sociable and outgoing, and had a wonderful sense of humor which touched all who met her.
It's a huge honour to have Tony choose us as the charity that he wanted to support. I know that Lorraine had been affected by these issues before she died, and it's a cause that is close to Tony's heart. And yeah, it's a really big honour. We do operate in Exeter and right across Devon.
Mangori's conviction is met with relief that Lorraine's killer has been brought to justice. However, the case serves as a tragic reminder of the dangers that face women, especially when they are alone and in a vulnerable state. Exeter residents expressed shock that such a horrific crime could happen on their streets, shattering any sense of safety. The horrific murder of Lorraine Cox has ignited crucial discussions about what additional measures can be taken to stop such senseless violence against women from happening again. Many activists are calling for improved education around consent, encouraging more bystanders to step in when they notice red flags, and pushing for tougher consequences for perpetrators of sexual and physical abuse. Others are emphasizing the need for wider-reaching and better illuminated CCTV surveillance to help prevent crime and catch criminals. Those very cameras played a pivotal role in putting Lorraine's killer behind bars by serving as digital eyewitnesses to his predatory actions. In a way, that technology became Lorraine's lifeline, giving her a voice and capturing her last moments when she no longer could. For those who knew and loved Lorraine, all they can do now is grieve the beautiful soul so brutally taken from them and find a way to carry on despite the gaping hole left by her absence. Losing such a vivacious, 32-year-old woman in the prime of her life is a pain her family and friends will carry forever. As Lorraine's loved ones face the unimaginably difficult road ahead without her infectious laughter, big hugs, and kind heart that made her so special, their only solace is knowing that her murderer will be locked away for a very long time, being held responsible for the monster he is. Even through their grief, they are committed to honoring Lorraine by approaching life as she did, with love, joy, and generosity. This case is a grim reminder that evil can lurk anywhere, even during a casual night out with friends in a familiar place. It underscores how critical it is to take safety precautions like sticking with your group, not walking alone when impaired, and staying alert to your surroundings. At the same time, the brutal randomness of Lorraine being singled out shows that sadly, no one is safe from the threat of violence. Lorraine's family has expressed their wish that nobody else should ever have to endure the living hell they've been forced to confront. They hope Lorraine's story will inspire people to take action to make society safer for everyone. More than anything, they want Lorraine to be remembered for the wonderful person she was and all the love she gave to the world, not the horrific way she died. The devastating tragedy of Lorraine Cox's murder also highlights how absolutely essential it is to have robust support services in place for victims' families. Trying to navigate the criminal justice system while drowning in grief is an overwhelming burden nobody should have to shoulder on their own. Making sure therapy, legal support, and financial aid are easily accessible can make a huge difference for those left picking up the pieces. While nothing will ever erase their pain, just knowing that help and compassion are available can provide at least a small measure of comfort. For the rest of us, Lorraine's story should be a wake-up call. It's a harsh reminder of how much work we still have to do to create a world where women can feel secure simply existing in public spaces. Where walking home alone at night isn't a potentially deadly risk. Progress will require confronting the deep-seated attitudes and systemic inequalities that allow male violence against women to continue unchecked. It means having tough, honest conversations about the cultural messages and power dynamics that enable predatory behavior. Every single one of us, in our communities and individual lives, must take responsibility for fostering a culture of respect and accountability. Above all, we cannot allow ourselves to forget women like Lorraine Cox. We must say her name, keep her memory alive, and use the anger and heartache we feel over her senseless death to fuel concrete action and change. The greatest way we can honor Lorraine is to do everything in our power to build a society where a horrific act like this is unthinkable. Although justice has been served and Lorraine's killer is in prison, there will never be true closure for those who loved her most. Their loss has left a void that can never fully heal. But even in their overwhelming grief, they are determined to ensure Lorraine's death will not be in vain. By sharing stories and memories, they are keeping Lorraine's vibrant spirit alive, and by channeling their pain into fighting for a safer and more just world in her name, they are planting the seeds of change. If we come together as a society to nurture those seeds, they have the potential to blossom into a brighter future for everyone. A future where Lorraine's legacy becomes the peace and freedom she was so cruelly robbed of in life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any more true crime videos. Stay safe out there.